I'll be jamming to my own songs that I'll be making on here. I ain't trying to be arrogant or like conceited or full of myself. You know what I'm saying? But why listen to corporate artist music when you can make your own? You know what I'm saying? I like if I make my own music, I don't have to sit here and share with y'all. You know what I mean? I could just make my own music, listen to it in the car, in the tub. You know what I'm saying? Make my own baby making, love making music. I ain't gotta get the hottest rapper, the hottest pop star, or even someone from the past. Nigga, I make my own music. But anyway, this is Al Achad, man, and you know the deal. Stop acting like you don't know how this was going to begin or how it's going to end. You know what I'm saying? Holography, Al Achad. You know what I'm saying? Get the book. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing with me. And making sure also that you check me out on my different websites, my different, avenues in which I distribute this information and knowledge. So you got patreon.com/holography where you can sign up, enroll, get into some of the courses that I have, those videos from the past, some new videos, stuff. Go ahead and be a Patreon. You'd be in full support of what I do. Because what I'm about to do today is dealing with birth, life, death, and afterlife. Or as this stream is going to be titled, Birth, Ankh, Death, Duat, Meditation on Death Again, because I already had a video that I had put out months ago, and it was called Meditation on Death. Your entrance ensures your exit. So this is going to be a continuation of this. And I'm probably going to keep doing streams on this topic. So the playlist is probably going to be created for this, this particular subject dealing with, birth, life, death, afterlife. Now, this is going to be dealing with some Kemet stuff. Not to over focus on it, but just to kind of give insight, because I know ancient Egypt or Kemet is forever a hot topic in these times. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all went and got it tatted on your body somewhere, like the Ankh or Eye of Ra, or I love when women like woke women. That's a thing. They got the Mayat up under the breast, and they go out in public. It's getting hot out as the summer's coming. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna see the ankh is right up under the breasts. It doesn't work if your titties is like really saggy, but if they're a little perky or they're not too saggy, it's like you see the Maya tattoo right up under the breasts there. It's a wonderful sight to see. You know what I'm saying? But we're focusing on transition. This is going to be a key word for this law stream: transition. You know what I'm saying? Transition. Now, today they focus on transition as it pertains to, trans people. You know what I'm saying? There was a dude, and they became a female, and there was female, became a dude. We're not focused on that, but I see you can like if you focus on functions, like how the world functions, you can see functions as they occur or abstracts, and I've said this in previous videos, as they express themselves in different areas of life. So as you transition to the afterlife through death, there's a similarity of you transitioning from a male species to a female. So, or female to a male. So the transition is there. But we're dealing with transition specifically as it pertains to going through the worlds, going through the planes of existence, right? So people often make the assumption or the mistake that life and death are opposites of each other. Let me stop you right there, play it. Let me stop you. Let me stop you right there. There's a bit more accuracy when you start dealing with birth and death being opposites rather than life and death being opposites. Because birth and death are what? Transitional periods. They're transitional states. They're gateways. They're pathways in either into life or into the afterlife, which is, what I'm saying, the realm or the world or the plane of existence after you live your earthly life. So every culture, every religion, every region of the world has their version or their take or approach on where you go when you die. You know what I'm saying? Every culture has one. Every religion has it. You know what I'm saying? They have to address this in their religion or their culture or their region because this is a universal. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with me, know that I'm also pointing you towards self and the universals that create who you are. You know what I'm saying? Or that are contained in your being. So this is a universal concept of you living an earthly life and then you transitioning over to the life after death. You know what I'm saying? Like the Biggie album, you know what I mean? Kick in the door, wave into the 4-4, you know what I mean? But we're dealing with the transition. So when people say life and death, is like, no, there's an inaccuracy of what you're dealing with, because birth and death are transitions. You use that as a way into different planes of existence. So, for example, Earth is its own plane of existence. It's its own self-contained plane of existence, right? So, how did you get here and how do you leave here? So, to get here, you go through the channel or canal of birth. It quite physically, you come through your mother's womb or her vagina, or if you're cesarean section born, you know what I'm saying, you came through, you know what I'm saying, they just cut your mother's womb open and took you out. So, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't make a difference, you know what I'm saying, it's the fact that you came through the womb in order to come into physical life. We're into physical space-time dimension, right? That was a transition. Your birth was a transition, a traumatic one at best, because again, you have to address that. Each and every one of us who have came through that birth transition to get here, you have to address that before you get out of here, or it's something that's going to keep plaguing you as you go through this samsara, or this loop of existence where you keep being reincarnated without knowledge, which is, like I said, that's a trauma or a fate of existence worse than just regular dying. It's like you keep looping here, you know what I'm saying, like you on a carousel, you on a loop, you on a fairy go round. You keep coming back here, going through the same dumb shit over and over and over again. Sometimes it gets worse with each incarnation because you're not learning a lesson. Now, how do you transition out of this earthly existence? That's where death comes in. Death is a gateway, death is a pathway out of this earthly self-contained space-time plane, out of the physical. You die. That is a transition. Now, the problem with most beings here is that they don't prepare to clock out. You know, if you're working right now, you know, say, I don't know if you're trying to listen to me with your headphones in, you're trying to hide from you know, your obnoxious boss or supervisor. I don't know what you're doing. Don't get yourself in trouble listening to me. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, if you clocked in, you got to clock out. You prepared to clock in, right? You drink your coffee, you eat your cheese sandwich if you white, you know what I'm saying? No racism here, but you know what I'm talking about. You prepare to clock in, you prepare to go to work, you prepare to go to school, you prepare to be in session for whatever you're in session for. So why aren't you preparing to get out? Why aren't you preparing to leave? You clocked in, so prepare to clock out. So you have a mass amount of people who have been conditioned and trained and have accepted the program of not preparing for their own death transition out of the physical realm. And with that lack of preparation, it's the reason why they come right back here and do the shit over and over again. So you want to talk about insanity, being doing something over and over again and thinking you're going to get a different result. Well, what do you think of people, just a regular average person here in the earth realm? By that definition, they're insane. Most people are insane with that. You know what I'm saying? You're not preparing to clock out. You clocked in and used birth as a passageway to clock in to this clock place, this space-time dimension, this earth. So now prepare to clock out of it when it's time for you to clock out. So why aren't you making those preparations? Now, if we go to these different cultures of the past, like for example, Kemet and different places in Africa and Asia, they always have this funerary or mortuary rituals for you to clock out. Sometime or most of the time to help the transitioning or the dying find their way into, you know, certain places within the afterlife, or what we call the Duat or the Tuat, or you know, there's different names for it. They occur here. Let me pull this up. Hold on. I had this prepared for you. So you got the Duat right here. You know what I'm saying? Just dealing with just the top name, not even digging into anything, just dealing with the top thing that comes up when you do a Google search. Just the top shit. So you have different names for this world that is after this realm that you're in of earth and physical life. So you have Tuat, and I kind of compare this, like if you're going to say Tuat and Duat, it kind of compares to, you know, how they pronounce Tao and Tao, like the whole Romanization or Anglicization, however they say it, where they take something from a different culture and they make it English or Romanized or European. So, you know, you have the Tao and the Tao, like, for, you know, in the top front of my book here, always an excuse to put it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? You have, this is a symbol of Tao. Tao is a romanization of the word Tao. So they say Taoist instead of Taoist. So I kind of look at this whole Tuat Duat thing is the same. We're just gonna say Duat. A Kurt, a Menthes, a Menti, which is a pretty common term that I've heard before even, you know, digging into, you know, Egyptian mythology or Kemetic mythology. And then you have Neter Kertet. So these are different names for the realm of the dead, or the, you know, if you go into the whole Akan Twi or the Ghana Akan thing that I was dealing with before, Asamando is the realm of the ancestors, right? So these are planes of existence that are after your life here in the earth space-time dimension, right? So what we're going to deal with today is an understanding of this cycle between birth, Ankh or life, death, and Duat or afterlife. Now, the whole thing of saying afterlife or afterworld, it makes it seem like it didn't exist before you got here. So to say afterlife, like you're saying after, is after your physical life, right? But what if your transition from birth into this physical world, you was in the afterlife already? So why would you call it the afterlife? You could also refer to it as the before life. Or I just like to use Duat or Tuat or a Kurt or a Menthes or a Menti. You know what I'm saying? But here's a thing that we can also look into. If you are a true alchemist and you understand how mathematics is an outpouring or a subcategory of alchemy, some people don't know that. They don't do their math. So how would they know? Mathematically speaking, if you know one protocol, you know its reverse. So, for example, if you know 1 plus 2 equals 3, then you should know the inverse in the subtraction, which is 3 minus 2 equals 1, or 3 minus 1 equals 2. You know the inverse. You know the formula and its reverse. You know the function and its reverse. If you know how to boil water, you should know the reverse in order to freeze water. So a lot of people know the formula, but don't know the reverse of that formula. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, if you was born as a little baby, you came out as an infant out of your mother's womb, and you grew into this, you know, adult, you know what I'm saying, and this you grew hair on your nuts or around your vagina, you know what I'm saying, and your voice got deeper or your titties got bigger, whatever. You went through this process of being born and growing and maturing physically. Then the reverse is also existent. So that means you can reverse your aging. The formula exists. This is what scientists are sitting here trying to uncover today. You got billionaires and millionaires trying to live forever or trying to extend their life period or trying to find some form of agelessness so they can live forever in whatever form they think that is. So you have to deal with the reverse function. So if you know that you have certain metabolic and proteomic processes in the body that age you, then the reverse is also true. So you have to do the research and do the digging and the archaeology to find how do we reverse the aging. You know the function of aging, so now you know how to flip it and reverse it, inverse it, so the aging can go backwards, right? Now let's take that understanding or that abstract and apply it to what we know about transitioning, which is you coming into birth to go to into life, and then you transitioning out of life or the physical realm into the afterworld, the planes of the duat, right? So if you look at the word life, let's look at the word life. Let's look at the word life. At the movie, what on? Life. So this is the literal definition of Ankh. So if let's go to Ankh too. So we're going because we're going to go back to this later as well. So we know that Ankh. Let's deal with the Egyptian root of this or the Kemetic root, right? Ankh. So it's always dealing with some sort of life to subsist or live on, to dwell in, to occupy. Now, if we look at it as a noun, we go down here as a noun, life. Ankh literally means life, right? So, what is the reverse of life? What is the reverse operation? So, if life is a series of functions going in a certain direction, let's do the inverse of it. Let's do a mathematical inverse of life. What is the inverse of life? Some people are going to say death. And incorrect, inaccurate. Life is not a transition, it's a state. So, again, birth and death are the transitions from one state to the next. So, for example, if you asleep right now and then you woke up, the awakening is the transition. You being in, in your physical waking life is a state. The dream is a state. So, how do you get from the dream state into the physical waking state? You have to go through the transition of awakening. So now we take that back to what we were talking about. Birth is that pathway or passageway from the duat to the physical life. So the reverse of life cannot be death. It's a transition. Death is a transition. So what is the reverse of life? It would be evil. And why am I saying evil? Let me put in the comments. Evil. Why am I saying evil? I'm saying evil because if you reverse the letters, you get first you spell it as Life, and then you reverse it Efil. Evil. I'm doing that because we're dealing with the reverse of life. So you can even describe the duat as evil because it's an inverse of what physical space-time, earthly physical life is. But what do we see here? Let's say we take here, let me take this let me put something else in here for you. But we're gonna do it today. We're gonna do it today. Ain't waiting tomorrow for the sex. We gonna have sex today. So what else would come into this? What else could we say? We could say that. Do you agree or disagree with what I just put on the screen? You go from life, you reverse life into being evil, and then you see that there's a phonetic similarity to the word evil. Now, if you're so stuck on your Christian morality, because that's where you either drawing your morality nowadays from you being a Christian or your family being Christian or them being Islamic or Muslim, for the most part, for most of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people think that evil is just you doing things that are immoral. They are on that level with it because it's a Christian rollover or something you got from your Christianity or your Islamic or your Judaism. You know what I'm saying? Any of these live or philosophies or ideologies where the support of moral superiority is the ideal. Not understanding that there are other ways of life where this moral superiority is not the ideal. We're not trying to strive for that in other belief systems or other ideologies. So we have evil. Now, if you go back through history, it's not so much you doing things immoral, but it's more about you dealing with things beyond physical life. You're dealing with things beyond the physical dimension, beyond the space-time earthly living creatures in nature. You're going beyond that into the supernatural. So evil or evil is more aligned with the supernatural rather than it being aligned with moral or immorality or moral inferiority. So these things are metaphysical concepts, not moral concepts. So if I'm really dealing with evil spirits, in ancient times, you wasn't dealing with an immoral spirit. You were just dealing with entities or spirits from beyond the earth plane. Ethil, which is the reverse of life. So a lot of you are ignorant of e-field. You know about life. What's life? You out there getting money. You're out there trying to, get sex. You're out there trying to be attractive to the opposite sex or the same sex because of, gender fluidity out here. What else you're doing? You're trying to outdo the next person. You're in competition with people. You envy people. Everything you do here, you're trying to survive. You're trying to have a roof over your head. You're trying to make sure you have a whip that can get you back and forth to work. You want to have the flyest whip so you can get all the women's if you're a dude. Or in this life, you're trying to be so, if you're a woman, you're trying to be so attractive that any man would fall for you. You're trying to get your breasts bigger. You're trying to get your butt bigger. These are things that you're doing in life, which a lot of animals do too. You think an animal is not trying to buff like a bird, like a male bird is trying to buff its colorful chest up so that its chest can attract more female birds than the next male bird? You're doing a lot of animal shit here, and you don't even know it. Like you marking your territory. Animals do that all the time. You ever see a dog pee on shit? It's not just peeing on shit just to urinate. It's peeing on something to mark its territory. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that if you're truly going beyond the physical plane, you must have to deal with evil. You got to deal with the reverse. So to sustain your life, you got to eat, you got to breathe, you got to drink water, you got to do all these things to sustain your living, your Ankh, your life. So to deal with evil or Duat, what do you think you got to do? You got to do the inverse or the reverse of what you do here in life. I'll leave you to figure that out as we continue here. Let me get a sip of something. It looked like Grey Goose, but it's just sparkling water, y'all. Chill out. But anyway, this is what we're talking about. So you can tell that people don't do their math. Because again, if you have a function, you can reverse the function. If you have a fucking formula, you can do the reverse of that formula. So if life is a function, life is a formula, you can do the reverse. Because what am I implying here? If you're just doing life functions, you're only doing half of your being. You're only doing a part of what you are capable of doing. If you are an existent being, you want to call yourself a god, you want to call yourself a titan, a chaos being, whatever you're calling yourself, right? How do you think you are complete in yourself if you're only doing Ankh functions? You have a whole other side of you that does the reverse, but you are not conscious of it. You're not indulging it. You don't deal with that side. However, that side has a life of its own, or not. I wouldn't say life. It has a whole operation of its own. Ever dreamed and didn't think that you would do that in a dream? I know some of y'all have done had same-sex dreams before. I know you did. I know you did. Stop lying. Don't lie to me, man. You've done things in the dream that you would never see yourself doing in physical life. I know this. Don't lie to me. But that's not, something that we're focused on. It's more about there's a part of you doing things that you as the human or you as the ego here in the living realm, in the Ankh, the life, that you are not privy to. You're ignorant of it. So what do you think higher consciousness is dealing with, or self-awareness or self-acknowledgement is dealing with? So if you're only doing things or only invested in functions of life or functions of Ankh, then you are mathematically incomplete. That's what I'm trying to get to. So you're dealing with all these living functions, but you're not dealing with the reverse of them. You're incomplete. So when you get into a system like alchemy or Freemasonry or Rosicrucianism or any of these systems where you're dealing with the so-called dark side of life, or you're dealing with, spirits and all this different things. The aim is to complete yourself by dealing with the other side of those functions or the reverse of those functions. For example, if you are stuffing your face 3 times a day because you have a survival mechanism in you where you have to eat to sustain your life or your ankh, well, why do you think people fast during spirituality? You're doing the reverse of eating. You're fasting. That is a reverse of eating, is it not? Eating is a function to keep you alive in the physical realm. So the reverse of eating is fasting, keeping from eating, or eating in a way that is not so much as what you're doing, as a regular human being. That's why spirituality is associated with fasting. You're doing the reverse. Tell me if I'm mathematically incorrect. I'm trying to be mathematically sound. You know what I'm saying? LEAMS. I have a whole acronym, LEAMS. Logic is always mathematically sound. I'm attempting to be mathematically sound. Now let's deal with the Duat. Hold on, you know what? We're gonna go on break right quick. We're gonna deal with the Duat and the we're gonna deal with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let me take a quick break here. And then I'll be right back and we're gonna just I'm gonna break it down for you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna deal with this shit. Greetings, folks. This is Al Achad. Had to cut into the video to let you know that this book here, Wholography, now it's on Kindle, Amazon Kindle. So if you have the Kindle service, you can definitely check it out. There's even a longer sample for you to read where you can really get into if you really want to know about my book or not. For me, it's more about getting the book out there rather than trying to make a sale exclusively. So but if you are one of those scholars where you want the book, you want to do some highlighting and some annotating, and you really want to tear it apart, which that's what I really want you to do, then definitely go to my website, holographer.com/the-book. You know what I'm saying? And do it that way. Either way is cool with me. And now back to the video. What's going on? Back from break, man. Just had to we're gonna start putting that into the live stream so I can go relax and what I'm saying, stretch and take a breather, do something, what I'm saying, gotta do that. But like I said, what we're gonna do is deal with the Duat. So we already kind of dealt with the different names for this, ancient Egyptian or ancient Kemetic, realm after or life or world after you live here in the earth. You transition, you use death as a transition or opening into realms beyond this one, right? This earthly thing. So let's click into this right quick. So The realm of the dead in the Egyptian mythology. We already know that. So let's get deeper into the actual etymology. You know, I love doing etymological diggings, and you know what I'm saying? This is the true archaeology going on. Because you got the Egyptologists and all these different people that go to different ruin sites or you know, different sites around the world where you have, you know, torn down or old ancient civilizations, and they do the grave robbing and take all that stuff. How do you have the obelisks that came from Egypt? You have one in France, you have it in New York City. You know what I'm saying? They do what they do, but the true archaeology is right here. Or you know what I'm saying? It's closer to the archaeological concept of digging into the actual verbs and words and the lexicon of that ancient civilization. So you have it right here where you know they give the glyph, which hold on, let me go back. So they use this star in a circle as the hieroglyph or the sacred symbol of the realm of the dead. They use a circle with a star in it. Now, if you go to the occult today, you see the pentagram. Where you think they got it from? So some of y'all think you know what the pentagram is. Well, here's a more ancient understanding of what it was. So check your pentagram again and see if that meaning comes across your mind of it dealing with the Duat. But let's go forward. And you see the same star in a circle symbol is in this hieroglyphic combination right here. So the Duat is the ancient Egyptian afterworld, right? That was their name for it. In early conceptions, the region of the eastern sky where the sun and stars rise, which serves as the abode of the dead king. Now, for those of you that believe in NASA's construct of outer space, you know what I'm saying? The church of NASA out there. Some of y'all is in that. Y'all be sitting here making videos and or watching videos about extraterrestrials. When in ancient times, that whole black thing that you see beyond the sky at night, that was the abode of the dead. That was the Duat, or at least the you know, the I guess the opening gate to the Duat. So all this time you was looking up in the sky at the stars and all that stuff. You was doing all that and didn't know that that was what they called the Duat. Later, the region underneath the earth through which the sun passes at night, in which Osiris or Osar in the dead dwell. So what I'm seeing with these two conceptions, if you read it correctly, is that you're dealing with something that's beyond the earth plane. So your ability to know that there's something that exists beyond earth is your ability to look at so-called outer space and see that. But because you're in the church of NASA, you call it outer space, you believe in aliens, you believe in planets and all this stuff, when really that was just the Duat, or the you know, the that sweet space between earth or the physical realm and this metaphysical realm, which is the Duat. So when you look at this whole outer space intergalactic shit that you see that NASA gave you a name for, you're really looking at the blending of the Duat and the Ankh, which is earth. We're going to use that as the term of life, or earth, blended together. The underworld of a city as a place of dead gods. The epithet, epithet of the for the grave, or the epithet of the crypt of the temple of Dendera. So this all deals with death, right? Or going where you are taken after the transition of death. Now, notice how the Duat is a feminine noun, because you know that certain languages like Spanish or any Latin language, even Hebrew, they have feminine and masculine words. Not so much in English, but definitely in Latinized languages like Spanish, Italian, Romanian. I think German also has that. I'm not sure about German, but definitely any type of Semitic language like Hebrew, Aramaic, they have feminine words and masculine words. That's the setup of the language. So you know, a lot of people here in you know, the Americas, that you speak Spanish, right? You pique Spanish, you pique Spanish. So you know that there are words that are, you know, verbs, nouns, and adjectives that are um Masculine, feminine. Yang, yin, right? I'm going somewhere with this. Yang, yin, right? I'm going somewhere with this. And even the feminine is also, when they talk about Duat, Duat is also the name of the hippopotamus goddess personifying the afterworld. So this is doing the Greco-Roman transition from, being in the Egyptian thing, right? Now, if you watch this show, what's the show called? Moon Knight on Disney Plus. I watched it as Moon Knight, where they deal with the ancient Egyptian superhero. The dude, Oscar Isaac plays. He plays like a split personality. You know what I'm saying? So part of him is British, and the other part, I guess, is American. But they both serve this Khonsu, which is a deity in ancient Egypt, and they serve him, and they do his bidding. But in the show, there's an episode, without trying to spoil it, where they deal with Duat, the hippopotamus deity. She's a goddess. So Duat is always a feminine thing. Now, why am I saying this? Because now if we deal with Ankh, Ankh is always male. Ankh is always male. Ankh is always male. It's masculine. It's always masculine, fella, sis. What am I trying to say? Go back to yang and yin, yin and yang. So that means the Duat is yin, the Ankh or life is masculine. A reason to bring my book back on the screen is why. Masculine, feminine. Yang, yin. Yin, yang. Ankh, Duat. Duat, Ankh. Life, death. Or no, not death. See, you almost caught me. I had to catch myself because we've been conditioned to think life and death are opposites, but I'm trying to help you understand that they're not. Birth and death are opposites. Life and Duat are opposites. So let me correct myself. Life, Duat. Ankh, Duat. Afterlife, Amenti. So life and Duat, or Ankh and Duat, are reverse mirrored images of each other. They're the inverse of each other. So the functions of the Duat are the reverse of the functions of the Ankh. So a lot of you are wearing Ankhs. You're wearing Ankh necklaces. You have an Ankh tattoos. You have Ankh on your car. That's a symbol of life, earth, space-time. But then you have the symbol of the Duat, which is the star, usually in the star in the circle, or they always have some sort of star there, right? The pentagram is a symbol of the world of the dead. The Duat. So then when we get to the cross, we be going places in these live streams. When you get to the cross, you're taking the pentagram and the Ankh and you're putting them together. So think about, contemplate, meditate, because we're doing a meditation on death. Meditate on what it means to take the pentagram, Ankh, or the pentagram, which is Duat, feminine, and you're taking the Ankh, which is life, masculine, and you put them together. You're crossing them together. What do you think that means? Type it up if you feel like you need to express yourself. What do you think that means? Because when you look at this symbol, another reason to put my book on the screen, I'll never, give up on that, or, spare that advantage. This is a whole thing indicated by me putting this blue circle around this yin yang. You don't even need to put the circle around there, but I put the circle around here to emphasize the fact that these two things were never separate. However, we are conditioned to believe that they are. They're not separate from each other. Here, let me make it bigger. Hold on. We'll come back to the Duat and the Ankh. Hold on. These are they're reverses of each other. They're not separate, they're not divided. But you could be sitting here being trained or conditioned to think that life and duat or afterlife are not one and the same thing, but just inverses of each other, reversed. We're doing mathematical reverses right here. Did you do your math? So what did I tell you earlier? If you're just focused on the functions of life, you are ignoring or bypassing or you know what I'm saying, disregarding the functions of the reverse, which is the duat. So what if you did the functions of the duat and the functions of Ankh together? Do you remember the video I just did before this one where we were talking about the Hyros Gamos or the chemical sacred marriage, the alchemical wedding, alchemical marriage, sacred wedding, sacred marriage? What do you think that's about? Why do you think there is an initiation that you go through? Why do you think there is a dark side? Why do you think there's a left-hand path? Why do you think there is an occult? Because a lot of you are in the occult and don't understand the occult. So just what I've just explained so far, the reason to be in the occult is first and foremost completing yourself. But why are you going through this process of completion? Because you have been conditioned and you are ignoring or disregarding the reverse functions of yourself. So a lot of you want to talk in terms of, you want to use the term subconscious and all that shit, right? And some of you've dealt with occultists where they said the subconscious is universe A or universe B, one of those, you know what I'm saying? Or and then also knowing that it's the underworld. What do you think this is? What do you think the duat is? They even give you a physical definition of it by saying that the region under the earth. What is under earth? Underworld. This is them explaining your subconscious to you. The term that you're using in with the Church of Jung, the Church of Carl Jung. Now I understand the Church of Carl Jung because the basis of that or premise of the whole Carl Jung psychoanalysis or depth psychology is the whole point of looking at all things as mind. The premise of his whole study is simply all is mind, universe is mental. So the Duat and the Ankh are both mental. They are of mind. That's how they are conjoined. That's how they are never separate from each other because they're all mind. So the whole universe A, universe B thing is right here in your face. So the Ankh or the physical life or physical functions, space-time dimension, you know what I'm saying, is your universe A. The Duat is universe B. However, you are being trained and conditioned to focus only on the Ankh or universe A or physical life or space-time living, space-time existence. That's what y'all be doing. So in order to complete yourself or to come to a holographic understanding, you have to deal with the other side of who you are on the Duat side. This is what the whole occult is about. What the fuck are you doing in the occult? What are you doing? Magic tricks? You a little magician? A little magic trick? That's what you be doing? Calling yourself all these different terms that you ain't even really kind of get into yet. You ain't even really kind of live out yet. You look dark, but you're not dealing with the dark side. Even if we go into the Star Wars thing, because I'm saying I'm not as versed as the nerdiest Star Wars person out there, but I know a thing or two. I've been up the block and around the corner. I know some stuff. I read some books. You know what I'm saying? So if you really wanted to look at the Force in this way, light side of the Force, the dark side of the Force. There you go. Do you have Jedis that deal with, Jed pillars and stuff like that. You have Darth, which is Doth or death. I'm just trying to clarify what you're doing in the occult or in the esoteric or the new age or the conscious community. That's all I'm doing. Because who don't be dealing with Egypt in the conscious community? The Hebrew Israelites. Even they have to sit here and talk about how Egypt was all homosexual and all that stuff. You know what the Hebrew Israelites be saying out there in New York on 25th Street. And then they'd be arguing with white people. And then one of the Hebrew is a video, it's a viral video that went viral where, you know, you know how the Hebrew Israelites do. They be out there with the microphone, with the suits on, and whatever fashion. I don't know what fashion style that is. I don't know if that's early biblical. I don't know what they call that fashion style that they do or that they dress up in. It's not important. And they got the microphone and they out there screaming about, yelling about, we the Israelites and you know what I'm saying? We this, we that, we do this, we do that. So then a white person comes, a white woman comes along and says, I ain't no devil. And then one of the Hebrew Israelites quite comically says, shut your mouth, cave bitch. I was on the floor dead. I was in the Duat after I heard that. Rolling on the floor in the Duat. You know what I'm saying? It's neither here nor there. It's just I was just trying to be comical and hilarious. But this is what it is. So why ask yourself, question yourself, why are you in the occult? Why are you doing occult things? Why? What are you there for? What are you doing? Why are you listening to occultists on the YouTube channels? Why are you posting occult stuff on your Instagram page? Why? Why are you wearing all these occult symbols? Why are you doing the occult rituals? Why? What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. I see what you're doing, but I don't think it was. I don't see where it's supposed to take you. Now, in terms of someone trying to transcend their humanity or go beyond their human animal self, this is where it's at. It's right here in the Ankh. You're doing everything a dog does, but in your human way. So you think you're separate from the dog or the monkey or the dolphin or the grasshopper. Y'all doing the same shit. The zodiac is going to let you know that. Man is on the zodiac. He's the Aquarius. He or she is the Aquarius. You're the human in the zodiac. Human is an animal. Intelligent animal, but an animal nonetheless. You're an animal. A filthy, big-lipped beast. Because you think you're above all the animals because you have a higher intellectual capacity, but you still do all the animalistic shit all the animals do. You know what I'm saying? You got to eat, right? You got to drink water. You got to establish your territory. You don't let nobody just come up in your house. You don't even let Jesus come up in here. You be trying to come in there like a thief, right? All animals do the same shit. Even when you're dealing with the whole Sphinx, for example, the Sphinx, which is a cross or four-way cross between the eagle, which is Scorpio, the higher form of Scorpio, the bull, which is Taurus, the lion, which is Leo, and Aquarius, which is humanity, humanitarian. Even if you are someone who has like a lot of Aquarius in you, you're more of a libertarian, Aquarian, political coalition movement, social justice warrior type motherfucker. That's who you are. You're into social justice. You're into social reform. That's all Aquarius. You're it's democracy. A key word of Aquarius is democratic, democracy. You're a democratic creature. You know what I'm saying? The internet is a democratic society. It's a democratic creation. It's a network. But this is the human animal. So to really transcend your humanity, you need to be over on this side. That's the side of you that you are told to fight against, that you are told to suppress, that you are told to ignore, to disregard. You have slew of movies that come out every year that get you to go up against this side of who you are. This is why some of us like to root for the villain. You know what I mean? We're rooting for the villain because that villain is usually them. It's being framed in a way that embodies this side of existence. So now it puts initiation into a brighter light. It gives you some brilliance about that. Because the reason to be initiated is because you're transitioning from this side, the Ankh side, to the Duat side. Ancient. I'm not telling you anything that's new for 2023. You know what I'm saying? This is ancient understandings. New knowledge. New, not spelled N-U-W, but N-U. You know, new knowledge. You know what I'm saying? This is new knowledge. New knowledge that ain't new. Because you know, new means, or noon means, you know, the waters are new, or the primordial waters, which is actually what alchemy concerns itself with. So if anything comes out of primordial waters, it's alchemy's territory. Tell them I said that. Refer them to this video and this part of the clip where we at like 53 minutes into it. Tell them to come to this side and we can discuss it. We can duke it out. Now it puts the transition of death into a greater perspective, a higher perspective, a more like you get more understanding about why you have to die. I done got so motherfucking high, coughing up my lungs, bitch. I'm thinking about to die. What's the name of that song? I seen it on Instagram, but I don't know who sing that song. But I always like that chorus. Bitch, I think I'm about to die. But this is the reason you are preparing to clock out, because your clocking out brings you here. It brings you here. So look at your Baphomet, especially when your Baphomet is superimposed on this star in the circle symbol. What are we really discussing here? What are we talking about? This is an ancient symbol, cuz come on now. You got people reappropriating what the symbol means. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You should never be in confusion about it. You should never be led astray. It's right here. Hell, you did a Google search. Let's do the Google search. The motherfucking Google search. A 15-year-old can do this, search for this and see this. So again, reassess what they said that star in the circle means. But again, it puts death into its proper perspective. Because now you've been taught to fear death. You've been taught to try to, cheat death, or try to be ageless, or try to, keep yourself alive for the longest time in the Ankh. Prepare to die. Have you ever seen the smiley face or the emoji? Here, I'll bring it up. Gotta ask you if you know. Let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. Let me bring it up, because it's right here in your face. Not the skull. I'm talking about the smile. There we go. Here we go. What is replaced in the eyes of this emoji? Pay attention to the eye sockets. What's there? Crosses. Because the original cross was not a T with the Jesus hanging off of it. It was an X, the Chi Rho. Here, let's look that up. Boom. This was the original cross for Christians. The Chi Rho. The original cross. It wasn't a T. It was an X. Chi and the X, and then Rho, which is, it looks like a P, but this is the Greek for R. Rho. Alpha, Omega, cross in a circle. Throw that ass in a circle. Look at that. Ancient symbology right there in your face. And over time, it started to become that T, this right here. It started to become this. And then they started superimposing, Caucasian Jesus on the front. You know what I mean? I think it was Coptic, Ethiopian Jesus first. And then they made him, lighter, paler over time. He got paler and paler. But this is what it is. To me, this is a symbol of immortality. You are complete. You've crossed over. You're the true Hebrew now. Right here in your face. Ancient symbol. They even put on a ring. In fact, the thumbnail for this video after this live stream is over is going to have this crossing in it. I'm going to make sure I have the crossing in it. This is immortality right on the screen. Because what? You successfully crossed over from Ankh to Duat. Because you're doing the inverse. Pay attention to what I'm trying to tell you. When you was born, you went through a transition from Duat to Ankh. Now you have to do the inverse. Ankh to Duat. Mathematically inversed. Why are you in the occult again? Tell me why you're in the occult. Tell me. You want to let me know about that? Tell me. It's between us. I ain't gonna tell nobody. Why are you dealing with esoteric, occult, magical things? What are you doing? Even what we talking, like when I was talking about in like previous videos, even going all the way back to like 2020, 2021, where I was talking about Sankofa and regenesis. You're going backwards. What is Sankofa? You're going back. What do you think this shit is talking about? Why are you going back? Because you went forward. So what is the reverse or inverse of forward? Backwards. Why are you in the occult? What are you doing? You just want to look spooky? Ooh, you want to look spooky to me? That's why you're doing it? You are here to complete yourself, man. Sis. Brother, sister, daughter, son, you're here to complete the process. But you keep evading it. You keep avoiding it. You keep sidestepping it for the most part. Not necessarily y'all that's watching this, but for the mass of the human race, or those that, were being called humans, right? Y'all ain't doing this work. And then you have people that are complicating it for you because they sound authoritative. It's simple. You came from the Duat into the Ankh, or the earth, through birth. That was the transition into life, into Ankh. So the reverse has to then be fulfilled. So now you're going back to the Duat through the transition of death. Birth and death, once again, are the true opposites of each other. Life and afterlife are opposites of each other. Life, Ankh, afterlife, Duat. So most people are too Ankhy to do Duat shit. They're too Ankhy to understand the Duat. They're too Ankhy to be Duati, but they're supposed to be making equal on the Duati. You got to be both. Death is always associated with this cross. So let me go back to the cross, because I already told you this Chi Rho. This is the earliest symbol for Christianity, the earliest symbol of what that Christianity was, not what it is today, what it originally, the esoteric. This is even a Gnostic symbol. This symbol is very Gnostic. So if you're into Gnosticism and Gnosis, this is your symbol. Here, it's even more fancier right here. You like fancy schmancy. They even put the motherfucking shit in the circle. They put it in there for you. This is your symbol, Gnostic. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You're not one or the other. You're both. You've crossed over. You're the Hebrew now. This ain't no Wakanda shit. What is you talking? Osiris does this. This is what this shit is. And for y'all that like spooky stuff, now it looks spooky. Because you might not have liked the other ones because they don't look, occult enough. How about this one? Wear that one. It looks all reddish and evilish and dark and, you know what I'm saying? Look like something Darth Vader and them will wear. That's for you. Spooky. But let me go back to what I was originally dealing with. Just the emoji. It's right there in the emoji. Death is all they always put the X, even in cartoons over time, they always put the X's in place of the I's. That's a symbol. Cross is always about death. Even when I got into the conscious community, like when, if you conscious and you see somebody wearing like a cross, like a Christian cross, it'd be like, oh, you a Christian, you into death. Duh. You supposed to be. You supposed to learn how to clock out. You clocked in. What's the reverse of clock in? Clock out. So this X's on the eyes is always symbolic of death. Is always symbolic of death or being knocked out, but definitely of death. You could put this on a bottle of poison and you would know that this is toxic, like this is poisonous. Hold on, let me go further. Hold on. Here, they even give it to you in this one, like this symbol of the cross in the Ankh. The cross in the Ankh. You know what I'm saying? Life and death. You're both. You're not one or the other. Or not life and death, life and afterlife. There we go. But I'm trying to look for the X cross. Because this is shit I've read like years ago. Like I seen like how they had the original cross. The original cross was an X, and they would have the dead man or the man with his hand, his left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot on the cross. I'm trying to look for that. Where is that? Hold on. Trying to look for it. Hold on. Boom. That right there. That was the original cross right there. X. This deals with genetics. This deals with alchemy because genetics comes out of alchemy. This was the original cross. There was even a symbol where they had the cross with the snake on it. So that's another. Hold on, let me see if I can find this one. Yeah, so you had these crosses too, where they had the serpent on the cross. So this is old as well. This is very old stuff. Here, this is here. This is what I was looking for. This right here. Old. This one right here. Here we go. Alchemy. Even older. This one. Alchemy. They even have this, the caduceus right here, but this one wasn't really the symbol of the, crossover. You know what I'm saying? This is. There you go. And this is actually, they took this and put this in that anime show, Full Metal Alchemist. Impressive, impressive anime. You may want to watch that one. Here, they even sit here and compounded the symbol where they put in the star, or somewhat of the star. Yeah, here we go. Is it? No, it's somewhat like that. Come on, man. It's right here in your face. Deal with alchemy. Deal with the science I'm dealing with. Why y'all dealing with science that ain't taking y'all to the source of this shit? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep it simple and repetitive. You came from the Duat into your mother's womb, and then you were born. So that whole transition into the Ankh or life, right? Now you do the reverse. You're doing the inverse operation. This is something you learned in mathematics in grade school. So now what is the reverse? You now go back to the Duat through death, which is the inverse of birth. A rebirth, a reincarnation, a resurrection, a regeneration. This is the whole point of you going into this whole initiation and dealing with any type of occult shit. And always remember, the Ankh is masculine, the Duat is feminine. Yang, yin. Yang, yin. You know that yang has a piece of yin in it, and yin has a piece of yang in it. To let you know that they are not truly separate. They appear separate, they appear dual, but they're not. So if we deal with birth, Ankh, death, Duat, and meditating on that, that is the path that I would have you on. This is my philosophy. Even before I deal with, me being a Obaifa or Obia man, before I even get into that, it's this understanding. So if you was really down for this shit, you'd have the Ankh and the cross on, or the Ankh and this star on. You know what I'm saying? And then, also dealing with the whole concept of, when some people, they go through the transition of death, and because they're so used to, or they're not really done with this earth plane, they get stuck between worlds. You know what I'm saying? They don't really cross over to the actual Asamando or the Duat. So they're between things. So you start saying words like haunt. So, for example, you have haunted houses or haunted streets, or I'm saying, boo block. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you died in prison, but you ain't cross over. So now you're haunting the block in prison where you died at. So it's now boo block. You know what I'm saying? You in the boo block. You boo blocking out here. So you have people, even after they transition, do they still want to stay here on the earth side, the Ankh side? You know what I'm saying? Tragedy. It's tragic. You're supposed to cross over. You're not doing that. So you're left to roam this between world. You know what I mean? Lost wayward spirits. That's what they call it. Wayward souls, wayward spirits. You know what I mean? Wailing spirits, spirits that's focused on some bullshit that went on in their physical life. You know what I mean? Because they didn't have the means or the knowledge to cross over, and trapped in samsara, the loop. The loop. So you see people out here with this Ankh on, and it's like, it's really nothing special. All you're doing is representing the earth plane. That's it. It's nothing special about it. It's only half of the puzzle. It's only half of the picture. You know what I'm saying? And then you got women out here, just as an example, you have women out here that are sitting here saying down with patriarchy. They don't fuck with patriarchy. They want matriarchy. But you got an Ankh on you. So, I mean, what are you trying to get at? Or do you mean just human patriarchy? Like, what are you talking about? Because the divine feminine would be the Duat. The divine masculine would be this world, this physical, right? So the actual sacred sexuality is the Ankh and the Duat having some sex. Hot sex on the planet just to get you wet. Make you something that you never regret. Yes, you gotta be from the 90s for that one, but you know what I mean? Romeo with Juliet. So this is Romeo, the Ankh, physical life, earth self, and Juliet, Duat, dark side, subconscious, underworld. They have to have sex. That's the chemical wedding. That's the alchemical marriage. That's the Hyros Gamos. That's what the alchemist is on the path of. Reconciliation of all paradoxes. What is the going to the hold on, let's bring that up before I leave out of here. Let's bring that up. Law of polarity. Let's bring that up. Hold on, I'm trying to get where they have the full understanding of it, like the full, because it's a lot of new age reappropriations and shit. Got to get past that. Here, let's just hold on. I ain't even gonna look in the pictures. Let's see if we can find some website. So you have like Tony Robbins and Xana Keith, like all these new age self-help gurus, you know what I'm saying? Discombobulating what the law of polarity actually means or what it's actually talking about. Bullshit. Here, let's deal with the sacred actual Kabbalion. Hold on. Here, this part. Everything is dual. Everything has its poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Ankh and Duat are actually the same. They're one and the same, but they're in reverse. They're reverse operations of each other. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. So you have the extreme of Earth, space-time Earth, and then the extreme of metaphysical darkness. Put it together, that's the reconciliation of the paradox. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. So you're here to reconcile the paradox or the seemingly paradox between the Ankh, male, and the Duat, female. Why are you in the occult again? Hey, it ain't my business, but hey, man, I'm about to get up out of here because I think that was enough to explain things. But just to understand why you have the inbuilt um what we call function to die. You have the function to die in your body, in your being. But it depends on how you treat that function, how you deal with that function, how you approach it. Because a lot of people have that fear of death. They have a fear of dying. It kind of controls their behavior here in the physical. So they have an extreme obsession with surviving in the Ankh or the realm of Earth life, and it controls their behavior. So if you was really someone that was into psychology or just studying the human mind or just mentality itself, this is the undergirding principle of a lot of preachers' behavior. It's survival. You know what I'm saying? But you have that inbuilt function in you to go through the process of death. So it depends on how you're approaching it. Do you want to prepare for it, or do you want it to just take you the fuck out? How do you want to do it? And how do you want it? How you want it? Because this is why we get into Gnosticism. This is why we get into the occult. This is why we get into knowledge, higher esoteric understandings, initiations. This is why we're doing it. If you ain't doing that, you pussyfooting, you meandering. You ain't doing nothing significant. You have a death transitioning principle inbuilt into your being. How do you want to deal with that? But again, man, my name is Al Achad, here to deal with the birth, Ankh, death, Duat, meditating on death once again. You know what I'm saying? That's what we dealing with. I deal with all these principles here in my book, Wholography, the whole writing of the arts and sciences as one educational discipline, Al Achad. And right down here, you see the website, holographer.com/the-book. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Patreons that help support what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if y'all want more videos about this type of stuff, because it keeps it simple and it gets to the point. Because I really don't see nobody else out here talking about this shit. You know what I mean? I really don't. So that's my cue. And I always say this. If you see something that could be done and you don't see none of these niggas out here doing, none of these people out here addressing it, that's your green light to do it. And that's basically what I'm into right now. So you know what I'm saying? Al Achad, sign the fuck out, man. You want to clock out, or you want to sit here and focus on trying to clock in as long as you can possibly be and then just be trapped here? It's all up to you.